Hey everyone, Brian here from Native Instruments. I know you've all been waiting for this update, so I'm very excited to present the new Komplete Kontrol S88 Mark II. With this keyboard, we took all the great features from the S49 and S61 Mark II and included them in a fully weighted hammer action keybed with aftertouch. Let's just get a quick overview of the keyboard first. In the center, I have two displays that provide me different feedback depending on if I'm browsing, controlling my instrument, mixing all my channels in my DAW, or even controlling machine. Around the screens, I have dedicated buttons that allow me to quickly access the most important functions of my DAW. This is the full 88 key version. I grew up playing on grand pianos, and I just have to say, I love the action and I love the feel of this keyboard. The dynamic range of the keybed is amazing. I can play really softly or loud. So let's dive in and see how this works. To demo the keyboard, I'm going to be building upon this basic idea that I started, so let's listen to what I have so far. As you can hear, it's a very simple chord progression and a drum beat. The first thing I want to add is a bass line. I'm going to load up one of my favorite instruments for bass, which is Monarch. Rather than going through this entire presets list, I can actually filter based on certain sound attributes. I can say I'm looking for a bass sound that's analog, and now I have a reduced presets list. While I'm scrolling, I'm able to hear what each instrument sounds like without actually having to load it. This is super useful when trying to find a sound quickly. I'm actually going to pull up my favorites list and choose a preset that I like to use pretty frequently. So now that my sound is loaded up, everything is pre-mapped for me on different pages. This works with all Komplete and NKS instruments. The first page is generally the most important parameters I want to have quick access to, but I can also toggle through the different pages using the left and the right arrow. This really allows me to focus on designing the sound and creating music and not having to touch my mouse or the keyboard. From here, I'm going to record in a bass line with some automation. I'll hit the record button so I can track this into Logic. I'm going to press Quantize to lock the notes to the grid and turn on automation to record the filter cutoff. Now I'm going to record in some pads on top. I have a different instrument loaded in another channel in Logic, and I can switch to it by clicking down on this encoder. To record in this idea, I'm going to use Smart Play. I'll press Scale to turn it on, and then Shift plus Scale to edit. The song is in the key of G minor, so I'm going to set that as my root note. I'll choose Chord Mode, and minor 1 is my type. The cool thing about this mode is that I can play any key and I know each chord sounds good together. I want the sound to move a bit more, so I have an effect loaded up in the next slot. Let's turn it on and record this in. Next, I want to add something atmospheric. For this, I'm using rounds on the next channel, and when I switch to it, you'll notice the light guide just changed. Every instrument uses the light guide in different ways. In this case with rounds, the turquoise keys represent the notes that I can play, and the pink keys represent the different sound settings that I can switch to. Let's record this in. Now that I have the parts recorded, I'll press the mixer button and start balancing the levels of my track. Let me bring up the piano line a little bit. Let me turn down the bass, it's just a little bit too loud. And let's bring up the atmospheric sound just a little bit. Now I want to bring in the string line that I have already recorded. From this point, I can also start muting and soloing different sections. I also have Machine loaded as a plugin inside of Logic, which is running all of my drums. I want to add some hi-hats and a few other elements, so what I'm going to do is turn on key mode, and this allows me to play my drums on the keys. When the keyboard's controlling machine, it's essentially like I have a machine controller with keys instead of pads. As I'm a pianist, I prefer to play my drums in this way rather than on pads. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this overview helpful.